Welcome back to the Encore Audio YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. My first group that I ever recorded was Underearners Anonymous. A friend of mine, Frank Brigiotti, who's on my channel, he passed away some time ago. He had some kind of cancer, but Frank was a great guy. He wanted to try to change my name from Taper Dave to Digital Dave. I've still got the shirt, the South Bay Roundup shirt, in my closet that he had embroidered Digital Dave. But he asked me if I wouldn't mind recording this group, Underearners Anonymous, and I said, sure, I'll record anything anonymous. So here you go. Enjoy, comment, and don't forget to like and subscribe, whatever you do. Be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. That helps me out a lot. Doesn't cost you a thing. Just click on the like button. You have a good day if you want to. Take care. Be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. That helps me out a lot. Doesn't cost you a thing. Just click on the like button. You have a good day if you want to. Take care.
Take two.
Okay, we'll just go to the form that I use. It's a simple graph, Monday through Friday, which is my general work week, although I often work on weekends, but Monday through Friday from 8 in the morning, it's 1 hour increments, 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11, etc., all the way down to midnight. I don't assign values to it. I don't complicate the issue. I simply write down what I was doing, watching television, shopping, reading, meditating, whatever the activity was. I don't cut it any more finely than 15-minute intervals. Usually it's half an hour or an hour or 3 hours I've been spending on something. All I want to do is see what I'm spending my time on. So I can go back for any given week, and I can use a highlighter if I want to be really clear, and highlight everything that says work. I put in 35 hours of work this week. Or, Jesus, I put in 10 hours of work this week. This information is very important and valuable to me. But I don't complicate it or try and cut it any more finely than that. It's most useful for me personally that way. And then I have a set for Saturday, Sunday. Because if I try and put 7 days on a sheet, it's too much for me.
Andrew?
That's how I do it.
Yeah, I just want to say that if you haven't done this tool before, people who do it for the first time get very insane, and they begin to take time, how long it took them to change the parakeet's feed, or going to their mailbox, or I spoke to my neighbor for a minute and a half. Is that vision, recreation, or oppression? What was it, please? I'm not sure. Let me call my sponsor. Come on, work with me here. I make levity of it because it's very powerful to put a pen to paper and record what you're doing in the day. And I just really, from the bottom of my recovery soul, just take it easy. Don't try to be perfect. It's about, if you're doing it at all, you're doing it right. And as you recover, you'll get better. Keep it really, really simple.
Hi, my name is Mindy, and I'm gratefully recovering in this program.
Hi, Mindy. Hi.
Jerry, Andrew, my question is for you. You really hit me. You were taking guitar lessons and then not doing work. I see myself doing that. What tool did you use to stop doing that?
It wasn't really a tool. It was basically beginning to work with a sponsor who was originally from DA. Incidentally, if you can't find a sponsor from UA, find a sponsor from any fellowship, because there's not everyone in UA has worked all the 12 steps. All you need to do is give them the pamphlet about UA and have them read it. I don't care whether the guy or woman has worked the 12 steps in OA, SLAA, GA, NA, OCA, or BOAC. It doesn't really matter. It's really not a tool. It's really the beginning to do step one and to write how you're powerless over under-earning and how your life is becoming manageable, and write it to going back as far as you can in your life, as if you were in AA and you were going to write about the first time you took a drink. And you sit down at a Starbucks with a sponsor and you read that to this person. And then you do step 2 and you say, came to believe a power. You know, I mean, it's really getting to a higher level of sanity that allows you to begin to stay with that guitar lesson, which I didn't have. And we're going to talk about that tomorrow in the hiding and biting thing, about how we can be very adversarial to schools, classes, clients, without even knowing that we are. But that's a spiritual issue, not a tool thing.
Thank you.
Audrey, in recovery. I'm Audrey. I have the same question for both of you. I would like to know if you are currently earning what you deserve, doing work that you like or love. And second, especially for Jerry with the proactive atheist that you used to be, I don't know where Andrew used to be, have you come to some sort of conclusion that this higher power that you pray to actually has a personal interest in you, or is it simply you feel better when you do it?
Okay, two parts to that question. The first is, am I earning what I deserve?
Doing what you love.
Doing what I love. I will always defer to 3rd and 11th step versus my will and what I want. I have desires, I have wants, I have ambitions, I have hungers. But what I do is I do not attach my sense of well-being, self-worth, or happiness to the having of any person, place, or thing. I live primarily in the 3rd and 11th steps. And I take actions. I like people, places, and things. I take actions to bring certain people, places, and things into my life. There's stuff I think I want. And I go after that. But I don't attach my happiness or sense of well-being or self-esteem to having any of them. I've gotten some things in my life that I wanted, and they blew up in my face. I mean, I don't always know what's best for me. I always know what I want, but I don't always know what's best for me. So I do my best always to defer to 3rd and 11th step. Now, it's a roundabout way to say what I'd really like to be doing is writing novels again. Life does not permit that at this moment in this form. So I'm doing a variety of things. I'm just beginning the process of putting most of a good amount of my backlist up in Kindle form. I spent a lot of time working on a new website that just went up recently. So number one, am I doing what I love? Well, partly, the old statement is, if they offer you chocolate, choose chocolate. So what the world offers me, what the universe seems to be giving me or demanding of me, as it once demanded I write a certain, a book. The universe essentially said, do this. I'm not going to let you do anything else. So, I wanted to get a 2-book novel contract. So, yes and no. I am not making my money purely on the things that my self-will would have me do. But I'm enjoying the things that I am doing and taking pleasure out of what the universe appears to set me up for. Now, that was the first part. The second part was...
whether or not that higher power that you now pray to actually gives a shit about you, or are you simply feeling better that you do it?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't have the faintest idea whether there is a God or not. There's any... I don't know. What I do know is that occasionally I talk to one. And I make no attempts to reconcile this contradiction. And I meditate. I spent 10 years sitting on a black cushion every morning and every night. 10 full years daily. At peak, I was meditating 45 minutes in the morning right after I got up and 45 minutes at night before I went to bed. Now I meditate intermittently. I go through periods or not. Meditation is it's home for me. It's a place I need to be, and so is the 3rd and 11th step. And I do, listen, my father died of Alzheimer's 10 years ago. It was brutal, violent, I miss him. I talk to him occasionally. I don't really think his ghost is walking around or his spirit is, but maybe it is. I don't have the faintest idea. So
Thank you.
I
That
don't know.
answers it. That answers it. Andrew?
I agree with him. Things are getting better, and I'm much more authentic in my vision now than I was. I spent a couple of years thinking that I wanted to become a motivational speaker and sales trainer, and as I began to get more and more honest, and having done a lot of those seminars, I began to feel they were fairly hollow, and they just didn't. I didn't really wake up and want to read the next article about neuropsychocybernetics. Or ways of maximizing performance in a high stress reality. So I'm much more authentic about it, and I'm pursuing comedy and trying to become the next James Thurber, but. That may not happen, but that's none of my business. My job is I need to leave the dock. Mark Twain said 100 years ago that in terms of life, you just have to go into your boat, take the rope, get it off the pier, raise the sails, feel the wind, get out to the center of the harbor, and that's what my job is, and I'm doing that better than I ever have before. As far as and I am making more money. More often now than I used to. It is not as consistent as it used to, but I'm much more comfortable with making more money than I used to, and I'm much more specific about it. So it's got a healthier energy to it. In terms of, do I believe that God gives a shit about me? I think it's really, it's like my spiritual experience is that I need to. Am I going to come across? Am I going to pray? Am I going to really say, "May Thy will be done"? And then in terms of step 7, do I really want to do God's will, or do I just grudgingly, okay, what is Your will? And that, to me, is like a relationship thing. So yeah, I believe that if I'm very sincere about it, there are positive things that come back to my reality. Having said that, I don't believe there's a guy with a beard saying, "Andrew, you're doing all right."
Okay, thank you, both of you. Thank you.
My name is Neil. I'm an underearner. Hi. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, everybody. And I guess my question is for you, Andrew, and Gerald, please weigh in if you like. I am a sober alcoholic, sober for 2 years, and I've been coming steady to DA and UA meetings simultaneously since about March of this year. And I have a sponsor in DA. I've written out 30 handwritten pages for the first step. I have a PRG scheduled, and I'm a very compliant schoolboy in this in a way that I wasn't as much in the past. And my question is this. Can I work the UA steps with my DA sponsor? Should I do it simultaneously, or should I really work all of the steps in DA and become solvent before I proceed into UA? I'm motivated to, I have an apparent need to earn relatively immediately.
Relatively immediately. Isn't that a contradiction in physics? It's like the other day, I asked for a cab. She said, "Well, he'll be here in no time." I said, "Lady, that means he's here now or he ain't coming." But in answer to your question, I have tried to do 2 12-step programs at the same time and with 2 separate sponsors and two different writing periods every morning, and I found it to be an absolutely horrible idea. So I advise you not to do it. And you ask, can your DA person sponsor you in UA? The answer is yes. Have him read the pamphlet about UA so he understands in very simple writing what it's really about. But I would finish up, the steps in DA.
First, you need to stay sober. I need to stay sober. If I lose my sobriety, everything else goes. So that's my primary purpose, unconditioned. Half a percentage down from that is I need to stay solvent one day at a time. Half a percentage down from that is I need to recover from under-earning. I didn't say this before, but I will say it now. It is impossible to debt and recover from under-earning. It can't be done. That's like trying to drink and recover from alcoholism. Cannot be done. It's in UA, solvency is called a tool. I consider it a precondition. So debting is the single biggest enabler an under-earner has. It allows me to continue to escape the consequences of my under-earning. As long as my landlord will let the rent slide, as long as the phone company will give me a couple of months grace, as long as a friend will loan me $1,500, I continue. Our phone is speaking to us. Anyway, I would say first, for anyone in UA, you have to be solvent. Whether you get solvent in UA or you get solvent in DA, doesn't make any difference to me. I got solvent in DA first, and I think that is the best way to do it. Doesn't mean that I couldn't go to DA and UA simultaneously. And I do feel, I agree with Andrew, that there is a dearth of people in UA who have worked all 12 steps. I have made 3 complete trips through the steps myself, in depth. The last one ended about 4 years ago. It took me 2 years, although it was my 3rd trip through the steps. And each time has been powerful. The last time was with a single sponsor. The first 2 were composite sponsors, different people along the way. Anyone who is 3 steps ahead of you can serve as a sponsor, a step sponsor. And as far as I'm concerned, the primary function of a sponsor is to help you through the steps. And you will find people in AA who will say, well, you know, I know about alcoholism. Don't ask me to sponsor you about money or food or anything like that. You'll find that sort of thing. You might find some people in DA who could sponsor you through UA. You might occasionally find a sober alcoholic who'll do that. I would like to see this program, UA, gain ever more experience and step experienced people who are willing to take on sponsees. And you know, if you're on step 4 yourself in UA, you can sponsor someone who's just coming into UA, and you can start him or her, preferably him, on that. That's a whole other question. On that first step. So I hope that answers the question or comments on it.
Thank you very much.
Hi, gentlemen. Thank you both very much. So I'm a DA who knows that I'm an under-earner and a deprivation person as well. My name's Elisa, by the way. And thanks for doing this, because I am God, I have 1,000 questions for you guys. So I've come to realize I know how to work. I don't know how to earn. I certainly don't know how to earn up to my potential. I am one of those people who has to, and have sometimes successfully made the phone call before the negotiation to say, I don't want to fucking say this number. I can't say this number. I'm going to say this number. They're going to say thank you and hang up. My normal work, my Friday paycheck work, has been going away for quite a while now. I've been on unemployment in the past 2 years more than I have earned from my normal work. But the possible opportunity, it seems, from the universe, and by the way, love your atheist discussion, thank you so much, is putting the idea of me having to negotiate for myself in individual, real being a freelancer. And even right now, I have somebody I have to make a budget for a project. And I sweat, my feet sweat, and my hands sweat at the very idea of saying what I should charge. I have a negotiation with somebody else about a commission that I'm supposed to earn, and I don't want to have the goddamn conversation. So your experience, strength, and hope on truly being that kind of, what you dug into to help yourselves finally embrace the negotiation, the earning what you deserve and what you're worth.
You know, in the first 2 years of UA, I would go to these real estate offices to sell them advertising, and I'd sit in the car and do about 4 or 5 prayers before I went in. I did the Serenity Prayer, 7-step prayer, 11-step prayer, 3rd-step prayer, And that would put me into a state of spiritual, of serenity, where I'd say, yes, sir, this is $4,000. Instead of $100. So I would, I mean, right now, before forgetting about working UA program, the steps, action partners. Do you have a negotiation due tomorrow or Monday?
Do I have?
Do you have to speak to somebody about price or money in terms of your services
this coming week, after this weekend, I have 2 different people I need to speak to about a commission that I'm to be earning, and I'm going to set a price for a project, a producing project.
Is that face-to-face or on the phone?
Both and or.
Okay, I would suggest very simply on both days that you do that, as close as you can, like 15 minutes before you walk into the door or pick up the phone, do 4 prayers and meditate for 15 minutes.
Okay.
And really say, God, I am powerless over this. I am turning this over to you, and you will feel a greater level of spiritual muscle and serenity. So and also do a little research. Find out what your competitors are charging for what you're offering. I mean, one of the things we do in UA is finding out what the market will bear.
Right.
Whether you're a dog walker or an IT consultant, it doesn't matter. So do a little research, but do 4 prayers plus meditation, 15 minutes before the phone call or the interview.
Largely, I agree with Andrew on it, and personally, I charge at the top of what the market will bear for what I do, and I just unequivocally do that. But, I mean, I told you I hyperventilated when it was first suggested that I pitch someone over the phone, that I try and close a deal.
Right.
So these things become easier as time passes and you have more experience doing them. But many times in recovery, still today, I have to do things I am not comfortable doing. And I simply say, this is the job in front of me that I have to do now, no matter how uncomfortable I am. And indeed, the prayers ritual or system that Andrew suggested, those 4 prayers, meditation, this is always good to prepare. But know what you're going to ask for before you go in there, too. Just know what you're going to ask for. Also, some of what Eddie was talking about, if you work with that kind of stuff over a year or 2, it will begin to bring about transformations. And definitely, you do 12-step work. You go through all 12 steps. This is all going to get a lot easier and make more sense to you.
Great. Thanks for the specifics. I appreciate it.
Hi, thank you so much for doing these Q&A. I'm just learning so much, even in line. My name's Chris. I'm an under-earner, and I'm new. And what's fascinating me about this program is that it is interpersonal and that it's not just abstaining from drinking or using or gambling, whatever it is. So I was curious with both of you, if there was a moment when you felt like you had recovery, if there was a singular day or sensation where you went, wow, I'm at a point where I can feel the progress from the fellowship.
When I threw out the cup. When I threw out my cup that had a piece of porcelain on it. I mean, that really was and I basically looked at the cup. I said, this cup no longer serves me. I cannot allow it in my house anymore. And that was the beginning. It is, this is not like Bill Wilson's thing where he had the winds of the Mount Vesuvius blow through him and lights were flashing. This is incremental mental health, where we get a little saner, a little bit at a time, towards this whole process of prosperity. But like anything else, we get a daily reprieve based on the maintenance of our spiritual conditions. We are never cured. We have to come back, and just as is the case with any trust or fellowship. If I left UA and left to my own devices, I wouldn't be able to charge what the market would bear for a game of ball and jacks.
There's only one thing that I would add to that. I think Andrew covered it all exactly. one of the most valuable pieces of financial counsel I ever got was from someone who's not in DA and not in UA and who's actually very good with money, and another writer. And this was many, many, many years ago in AA, and I was talking about pricing a job, and he said, look, Jerry, he said, what you want to do is ask for enough money that if they say yes, you won't resent doing the work. And that was very helpful to me and always has been. I would just add that as a little cherry on top of what Andrew said. What Andrew said is the Sunday.
Cool, thank you.
Hi, my name is Deborah.
Hi, Deborah.
And I was raised that prayer and spiritual practice was very begging to God. Please give me this. Please, 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 please. You know, and I would like to know a little bit about your spiritual practices other than meditation. How do you pray? Do you get on your knees and beg, or do you just like say the prayer, or these serenity prayers?
I get on my knees twice a day, beginning of the day, the end of the day, and I do 4 prayers, and then I meditate. I mean, I meditate in the morning, I meditate in the evening, and what is it? We haven't prayed rightly. We
were making demands.
We were making demands.
Giving a laundry list of what we want.
Giving a laundry list. And it says in the 12 and 12, you know, we were demanding what the God that gave us the pony, the swimming pool, you know, the Selmer McAfee guitar that Django Reinhardt used in 1923, which has a finely placed spruce top and an ebony fingerboard. So it's really, for me, and I think from, you know, for me, just speaking for myself, it's what thy will is. You know, it's like, I'm not saying give me the Maserati. I'm saying, how may I serve thee? What is thy will for me to do? And it's really about wanting to know God's will, which is what Bill Wilson talks about in step 7. And that's really it. I'm not begging for anything. I'm just coming to the point of saying, how may I serve thee? What is thy will?
And you get on your knees and...
Oh yeah, twice a day. Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes I get on my knees, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I wake up and I put my feet on the floor and I say the 3rd step prayer. Release me from the bondage of self and take away my difficulties that I may better serve thy will. And sometimes I immediately follow that out loud because I have to say them out loud to myself before my brain seriously engages because it can cause problems. Well, I need to set it right before it goes into motion. And I say the serenity prayer with that. I have sometimes felt utterly bereft and disconnected, and I haven't known what to do. I've tried other forms of meditation then. I've listened to people who have a spiritual life. I've tried some of their suggestions or their practices. I once, when I had really been feeling totally disconnected, I got down in a Muslim posture of prostration. And I will try anything to reconnect when I need to. And I don't think I have asked God, whatever God may or may not be, for anything since I was a kid. I mean, a little kid. I stay very much in 3rd and 11th step. But I do ask to take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I may help with thy power, thy love, and thy way of life. Whatever those are. Whatever power there may be in the universe, I don't know what it may want, but I know it doesn't want me getting drunk. It doesn't want me borrowing money. It doesn't want me living in deprivation. If it recognizes that that's what I want to do, it's probably okay with that power. You know, a power greater than myself is not a rapist. It just knocks on my door, shyly standing there with flowers, saying, would you like me to come in? Would you like some assistance? Would you like some care? It doesn't knock me down on the floor and pummel me into submission and goodness. And there's a Hasidic statement that I've always liked, which says, God is not a kindly uncle. God is an earthquake. And an Episcopalian priest I know, once was an Episcopalian priest, says what you have to do in the 3rd step is step off the precipice and free fall through God, which is a terrifying thing to do.
I see.
And probably God is, everything I think is God is probably not God, because that's the construction of a very finite mind. I need to listen in the stillness and just to see what may move within me. And in the 12 and 12, it talks about why I need the company of other spiritually minded people and people on a spiritual voyage, because it says, left to my own devices, I can justify the most errant nonsense as God's will.
Sorry to interrupt your viewing. Taper Dave here. Just wanted to take a second to ask you to like and subscribe to my channel and let me know if you like what you're listening. I've got some very good talks here, and this one's a great one. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Tell me what you think.
Right.
So,
Do you pray for people that are sick or pray over your food or any of that stuff?
sometimes. And I was in a hospital room while a guy was dying one night, an old friend. He was dying of AIDS. And he hadn't lived well in the final months, and he'd been frightened. And I didn't know what to pray for because he was not happy living. He was suffering. And it seemed obscene to pray that he die and be released for this. And it seemed, who was I to pray that he live because he was suffering? I didn't know what to do. So I prayed simply for whatever was best for him, whatever was best, because I didn't know.
Very good. Thank
He
you.
died that night.
Also on the big book, page 86 and 87, give some simple instructions in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous.
Yeah, I just wanted their daily practice.
Hi, I'm LJ.
Hey.
Thank you for your wisdom. Thanks everybody for being here. I totally did not want to come at all. My home program is Al-Anon. I've been doing that for several years. And I'm going to have a hard time articulating, forgive me. But we did the exercise with Eddie, and I was crying, so clearly something's going on. And I'm very confused because I've never had debt. I've worked my ass off my whole life. And I've come to a place where my relationship, my job, lots of things weren't working for me. So I got rid of them. And I'd saved a lot. And I'm in a total state of paralysis because my professional life was, the gerbil wheel. I never even really thought about if I liked it or not. I just went from one chaotic environment to the next. And it would be highly chaotic and I would fix it, and then I would leave and I would get highly chaotic and it would fix it. And I'm like, I don't even know what to do, I mean, I pray every morning on my knees. I do, what I've learned to do in that other program, but I'm like you said, I can't get off the dock. I feel that, I just feel lost. I had some way I wanted to say this and be very articulate, but I don't even know how else to say it. And I saved enough money for a year, and it's going to run out. And I actually know this is not about money at all. It's about my relationship to work. It's about my higher power and giving up my my professional life and all kinds of bad habits. But I just feel at a complete loss, and I just am in a cave. So anyway, I don't know if that was a question, but I don't know what that was. But if you have any suggestions as to how to get off the dock.
Well, just to keep it, do you go to any UA meetings?
This is my first UA experience.
Well, welcome. Fortunately for you, Los Angeles is one of the more developed places for Underearners Anonymous. There are a number of meetings here, and certainly Eddie can certainly let you know about the stronger ones, or Jonathan. There are also 70 UA phone meetings every week on many, many subjects. So I would simply keep it very simple, and for the next 2 weeks, either go to a face-to-face or a phone meeting every day, speak to people, and just by that commitment, some new thinking that will be beneficial for you, I believe, will emerge.
Okay.
What he said.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Farah, Underearner. First of all, very appreciative to you guys for being here and for, following the inspiration to create Underearners. So thank you, and also for writing the book, which segues nicely to my question. In your book, you say the 3 things to not do, or debt, which you already spoke of during your another answer. And another one that is the topic of my question is to not accept jobs that pay less than your needs. And that to me is very vague and unclear. I know that you had suggestions, do a spending plan, an actual spending, and so on and so forth, but that still can be very vague based on, I could cut out certain things, and does that include my debt repayment, and so on and so forth. And so I just was wondering if you could give me a little bit more clarity on that.
Sure. Apparently, this is confusing to a number of people, and if I ever do a revision of that book, I will probably have to clarify it or be a little bit more detailed. Three do nots are: do not debt, do not take work that pays you less than you need, and do not say no to money. Those are the three principal do nots. What I said was, with the third one, do not say no to money. Do not say no to money that meets the first two criteria. And the first and single most important thing is that I not debt. If I debt, I'm screwed. It's that simple. I will never recover from under-earning, never. So the first is I need not to debt. Now, if I'm offered the choice, say I'm in jeopardy of debting, but I know that my expenses require me to make $2,500 a week, or whatever it is, and I'm in danger of debting for $150 on a phone bill, and I'm offered work that'll pay me $200 for a week's worth of work. Well, that's clearly not money that I need. It's not money that it's less than what I need. However, if I do that, it's going to prevent me from debting. So that's going to maintain that platform of recovery. The foundation of recovery is not debting one day at a time. So that's the first step, even if it's work that pays me less than I need. Eventually, if I keep taking work that pays me less than I need, I will debt, because sooner or later I'm going to run out. I'm going to have more expenses than I have income, and I'm going to debt. So I will have to, while I am not debting, doing whatever B work or however you want to define it, any work that's around, I need constantly and ceaselessly to be looking for work that will pay me what I need. What I need does include a reasonable amount for debt repayment. Look, here's a basic definition as far as I'm concerned of recovery from under-earning. Recovery from under-earning basically means that you're bringing in enough money with which to pay for food, clothing, and shelter on a humane level, with at least some left over for recreation and vacation, and at least some more left over for savings and investment. That's a minimal definition of recovery from under-earning as far as I am concerned. And that includes debt repayment. That's part of what I need to do. But so if I'm doing this work that isn't going to meet my basic expenses in the long run, but is keeping me out of debt for now, I have to evolve that into the next level, which is finding work that at least covers my basic expenses, even if I don't like that work. Then the next step is, while I'm covering my basic expenses, to be putting energy and focus into finding work that pleases me more and or also brings more money in. I think that's as clear as I can make it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there, welcome home. She kind of answered my question in a certain way, but my question is, Jerry, actually to both of you, but I'm wondering two things. I'm wondering, when you say you charge at the top level of your scale, I am beginning to do that more and more, and I'm wondering, once I say this is my rate, and somebody says what I'm hearing a lot of, well, in this economy, you're charging that much. I find myself becoming panicked and thinking, okay, well, I don't want to say, well, what do you got? But okay, I'll take a chicken and a bottle of water. I don't know whether or not I hear so many, over the years I've heard so many definitions of what debting is, and I think it was really helpful to hear what you consider it to be. But is it debting for myself to then say, well, let me get back with you, or how do you deal with this?
Let me jump on this right away, if you don't mind, Andrew. One, debting has to do with money. As far as I'm concerned, there's no such thing as debting to myself, time debting, emotional debting, self-debting, or any of this other. I will practice restraint of pen and tongue. Any of this other stuff that has shown up in DA. time debting. I thank God that Andrew calls it time wasting, time mismanagement, whatever it is. If I'm mismanaging time, usually that's procrastination or workaholism, but it's time mismanagement. Debting has to do with I don't pay the damn bill. I borrow $500 from my brother. I use a credit card. I charge a suit at Macy's, whatever. You know, it's money. It's money, and you can come after me for that money. That's unsecured debt. There are consequences for this. Now, it's the difference between, you know, in AA we don't talk about self-drinking, emotional drinking, time drinking. You know? No. Impatience, time mismanagement, and all that stuff, judgmentalism, may contribute to my alcoholism. So I would suggest time mismanagement, emotional lack of boundaries, any of this other stuff is part of, if you'll allow me, the syndrome of debtism. It's debtism. It's the syndrome around debt or debtism. But debt has only to do with money, just like AA has to do with alcohol or drugs. And if I'm very clear on it, I once heard a guy at a meeting a long time ago say, I'm not going to debt to myself anymore, so I borrowed $500 from my brother to buy a winter coat. That's insane. I mean, in that statement is lost any concept of what recovery from debt is. Dennis Miller would call that a rant, I guess.
It was a good one. I appreciate it.
I'm sorry, the next part of the question was?
The next part is what you do when you say, okay, well, you know, and my fee is da-da-da, and they go, and
okay,
yeah.
yes, I'm sorry. I can, you know, that's slowly I turned, you know, that's right out of Abbott and Costello. You trigger me and I go nuts. I had a sponsee once that really taught me something on this. The guy he'd been an old boilerplate salesman for penny stocks. I mean, you know, the worst kind of pressure tactics and everything. But he moved up through the years and he became a reasonable guy. But he taught me about qualified customers. Some clients, some prospective customers or clients are not qualified to be my client or customer. They don't have enough money for it. I mean, because they're under-earning or in debt or impoverished doesn't mean that they have to reach up and pull me down there with them and put me in jeopardy of under-earning and being impoverished. Now, I give away a lot of work and a lot of time, and I give away money. I mean, I just give it away. So, you know, generosity is an ongoing thing in my life, but because someone cannot afford me does not mean
somebody
that I
doesn't
should
want
reduce
to,
my
yeah.
rates. You know, and I simply, you know, say to you, well, I understand that that's a restriction for you, you know, and I'm sorry that we can't work together, but if it ever seems reasonable for you to do, I'd be happy to speak with you.
And trust that you'll get what you need from the next client. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. If I'm fearing that there'll never be any more, so I better grab this chicken right now, you know, that's being offered, then I'm in trouble.
I'd like to say just very briefly, because I think Jerry really covered a lot of points on that, on your question, that the thing that will allow you to get people to question your price more than anything else is fear. If you really go in fearing that they're going to question what you're doing, you will get that more often than you ever dreamed possible. So the best thing for you to do is to really build value in what you're doing. Write out a 10-point list of what you do and find the one thing about it that's unique about it. So really build value in what you do. So the next time you talk to any client, you have no fear. You have total confidence and a rhapsodic serenity over the product and service that you offer.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks.
Rhapsodic serenity, eh?
Hi, I'm Joanna. I'm an under-earner.
Hi, Joanna.
Hi. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. It's been so mind-blowingly informative. It's painful, but thank you. My question, I'm not even sure if it's really a question, it's more something that's been kind of in my head, and to be speaking to somebody who also makes their living as a creative person, as a writer, I'm still not very clear as to, although you did point it out very eloquently just briefly, what exactly it means to be an under-earner. I'm still sort of developing that definition. And or acquiring it. And I am in this current position where I've sort of am pursuing my creative dreams and goals, but as a result, I'm also living on a much lower spending plan. My basic needs are covered, and I have money for entertainment and for repaying my debt. And but I find that it's a very fine line of, am I putting myself in this position of not earning more money just under the sort of auspices of I am pursuing my creative dreams, or am I just pursuing my creative dreams and, you know, in the beginning it sucks, you know? So I don't know if you have any comments or experience, strength, and hope on that.
I'm not clear what the question is.
Yeah, I'm not really either. I guess I'm just sort of saying.
I've got a sense of it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could parse it in 10 words, but one, if my art can't support me, I have to support it until the day that it can. That's the first thing about an art. Or a business that I'm trying to start, same way. If it can't support me, I have to support it, do it part-time until it gets to the point where it can support me. If you are providing yourself with a humane level of food, clothing, and shelter, and you've got some left over for recreation and maybe a little bit for debt repayment or investment, fine. I mean, you're meeting the threshold, the basic threshold of not under-earning. Then, if you wish to invest your time and energy in attempting to grow an artistic career, that's perfectly fine. No one is, it would be insane to suggest, well, you should just go out and earn more money, to hell with that. No, but you know, some people heartbreakingly spend a lot of time trying to establish an artistic career where it's not going to work, either from something within them or something in society at large is just not going to work. So what I generally suggest to people is that you put some sort of time limit on it. That, you know, if you want to be a painter, you want to be a saxophonist, you want to be a poet, well, you're not going to make a living as a poet, but, you know, whatever it is that you would like to be, or do and support yourself with, what do you think is a reasonable amount of time in years to spend investing to see if this is going to work or not? 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? I mean, there is no objective answer to that, but there is an answer that you ought to have. Are you going to spend the next 20 years depriving yourself on something that isn't apparently going to work if it hasn't worked after 5 years or 10 years? Or, you know, put a time limit on it to see if you can rise at least a bit and looks like it's moving in an ever progressive direction. Well, then it's quite reasonable. Okay.
Thank you. All right.
Hi, I'm Mike, debtor and under-earner.
Hi, Mike.
Thanks so much for sharing your story, and my question is to both of you guys, and it's about prayer. I come from a religion, I'm Jewish, and you know, we would pray in a language I didn't understand, and now I come into programs. For me, I say the third step prayer and the serenity prayer, and my question to you guys is, how do you, it seems like you say these prayers repeatedly, daily. How do you, for me it's starting to lose its meaning if I say the same words over and over again, how do you keep it fresh? And number two is, what do you do in prayer when you just don't want to do it? You use meditation, prayer twice a day. So many times I'm like, I just don't feel like it. How do you get in the habit of doing that?
Well, you know, it's funny because I was raised as an Orthodox Jew, and it was definitely it was a horrible experience about religion because you're always based on fear. And in fact, my very digression story. My uncle actually was on the toilet one day. It was Saturday, and all of the pre-cut toilet paper had been used up. And he was afraid to tear the toilet paper. You're not allowed to do that as an Orthodox Jew because it's considered work. So he was afraid that God was going to look in and see him there. So he took the toilet paper and he brought it over to the faucet. And he turned the water on so the water would be dissolving the toilet paper and not him. And that is how he resolved that problem. So that's what I was raised with. That's what got me here, folks. It's all based on Markel tissues. But anyway, in answer to your, it's Sherman, in answer to your question, I know this is way up, it's late. Have you done the steps with anyone?
I haven't gone through all the steps.
I would suggest you begin to work the steps with a sponsor, because as you do, that will enhance and amplify and expand your experience of prayer. And that's the only answer. I mean, that's the only, to me, that's the best answer. Because you change spiritually as you work the steps. When you sit down with someone and you read step 1, whether you're powerless, overdeading, or under-earning, and you cite chapter and verse, you're going through a major psychic change. And then you're, again, we like to think, you know, and I've been guilty of this, of trying to do too much of it myself, but, you know, we can't. We really need to work with the sponsor based on the steps that have been written out by Mr. Wilson and whenever that 12 and 12 was written. So I would do that, and I think that will enhance your experience of
Indeed, work the steps. I mean, that will bring about a transformation. But also, I find for me, I didn't and don't say anything from my past, my childhood, formal prayers. They don't mean much to me. Original prayers, like the one I wrote. I mean, sometimes I have to write them. And simply talking with whatever higher power I conceive or don't conceive there to be. It doesn't make any difference to me whether there's one there or not. I talk to it anyway. I'm just perfectly comfortable with that. Also, I find for me it is helpful to say them out loud, to hear my voice saying them, so they're actually coming into my mind. And I did one form of prayer and meditation early on, a combination that helped me. I stretched out on the floor in the Hatha Yoga corpse position, emptied myself out, and I would go through the 12 steps, word by word, reflecting on each word in each step as I said it. And the process would take me about half an hour or so. And that proved to me to be a beneficial form of prayer and meditation.
And about the second one in terms of habit, like when you don't feel like praying, allude to that a little bit.
You know, top of my head says, don't bother, for a day or two, you know. We go stale sometimes. If you just get off it for a day or two, a week, it's okay. The universe isn't going to hate your guts because of that. It really is not going to happen any more than if you were raising a child who was 4 and didn't want to put his or her shoes under the bed at night for a week. You know, you're not going to buffet him or her. If there is that kind of relationship in the universe. But the third step also talks about sickening rebellion. We'll close that door and we won't do it. If it's intractable, it's going on for a long time, start talking to a sponsor, a pressure relief group, or an action group about it. And find, as I did that one time and couldn't connect, I got down in that Muslim posture of prostration. You know, it was the only thing I knew to try at the moment, to try some sort of connection. And but don't castigate yourself terribly. Notice it, accept it, deal with it, and attempt to work around it if it's there too long.
Thanks, guys.
Hello, I'm Indira, and thank you both for being here and actually being lucid on so little sleep.
Hi, Dara.
Hey there. Hi. Yes, my question may have been answered, but I was already in line. So I'm in the helping profession, and I work for myself, and I find that my mind is always thinking about how much the other person has or doesn't have, if they have enough money, and so I give away my work quite often, or I give it away for very little, and I give away little bits of energy. You know, they send an email that I'm not paid for information or advice, or they make a phone call, and it's like nickel and diming my energy, and I haven't really found a way to deal with this.
Well, you know, it's really, you're talking about insanity, and it's like it's like the step says, we can't do with the power greater than ourselves can restore us to sanity. And sanity is about value. It's about asking for what you deserve. It's for asking for what the market will bear. And it's for you feeling comfortable with it. And what you're talking about is your unease with the process of commerce based on what you do. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
So what you want to do is to beget, by working the program, you begin to create the ease, but it's not something that you can intellectually do. It's a matter of what you could spiritually do. And again, we've answered that question a couple of times in different ways, and it really comes down to the same thing. It's about you slowly beginning the process of you being restored to sanity, about feeling good, about asking for what the market will bear abundantly for what it is that you provide in terms of your health care services.
Thank you.
It is indeed that. It's the full recovery in UA that bleeds over and militates against this fear or this compulsion you have to give away bits and pieces of yourself or undercharge. For me, it also is helpful to recognize that regardless of what I feel about Microsoft, Bill Gates can do more on a practical level and helping in the world in a practical level than I can. To cure malaria, to end poverty in Africa. I mean, he's got more money. He can do more with it.
I think we got a great talk going on here. Thanks for watching the channel. Taper Dave here. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom?
For me, to recognize, for me to draw up a list that if I doubled my income, for example, or didn't give away half my time, what resources would I have to be able to be generous or helpful in ways that would be valuable, that I think are good to be helpful and generous with? I can do more if I make more money, indeed. And it's like meetings that have nobody who's qualified to be chairperson because there's no one solvent there, and no one wants to do all this. And so they keep lowering the requirements for holding office. And what that does is slowly destroy and weaken the meeting. A meeting should be able to bring its members up to higher levels and better, healthier levels so more people are qualified to do the service rather than lowering the requirements. Same thing with me consulting or working with people. I should be able to bring more people up to better levels in the world, spiritually and with money, than for me constantly to be going down because they tell me they don't have enough for me to help them. I have something in one of my files that says, my consulting clients free me to be able to help them. If I'm not getting paid enough, I can't survive myself. I can't meet my own needs. I'm no longer able to help. So, again, this is a matter of it ain't comfortable frequently, but I have to step forward anyway and learn another way of doing things. I told you, for $90 an hour, I thought that I ought to be, nailed to the wall and hang there. Why should anyone pay me $90 an hour? I mean, that was a point I couldn't get past at one point in my life. And there are just as many people who want my help who can pay me as there are who can't pay me. They're deserving of the same amount of help. This requires fortitude for under-earners. Did for me, and still does. So.
Thank you both very much for your deep and abiding information.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm an under-earner, overspender. My name is Jimmy. Slowly recovering in this program, and my question is specific to debting. In the last 5 to 6 years, I've gotten in a considerable amount of debt as a result of being unemployed, underemployed. So the last 2 years, I had a under-earning job. It was a subsistence job, and that job has now ended. I got some severance. The point that I want to get to is, do either of you, in your respective recoveries, have any experience with personal bankruptcy?
Yeah, I did it in 1985, and it really didn't do shit. It's like, it didn't do anything. I mean, I started to debt again. I think $13,000 was forgiven or whatever at the time. The bankruptcy laws were very lenient. But it didn't matter. I went back to my own behavior. And, in DA, I believe it's not exactly encouraged as a...
early in DA, the original pamphlet said we don't declare bankruptcy. You know, we negotiate with and we pay off all our creditors. Cut a long story short, and this is perhaps a little inventory taking, there was some vested interest in the General Service Board and DA in getting rid of that. And it was ramrodded through a world conference at one point to remove that, and declare it an outside issue. And we ended up with a paragraph in the pamphlet that said, well, a very early artificial intelligence program was being tested for translations work. And they took Hamlet's soliloquy and they translated it into Japanese through the machine. And then they took that Japanese version, they translated it back through the machine and program into English. And to be or not to be, that is the question, came out with, it is, it isn't, what is it? And that paragraph that ended up in the revised DA pamphlet was pretty much the same way. It is, it isn't, what isn't? I mean, you had a hard time figuring out what I was trying to say. What Andrew said is very true. We're in the age now of serial bankrupts. Bankruptcy does not change anything in the way of attitudes, perceptions. Now, that said, and I have never declared bankruptcy. That said, I have worked with a couple of people in DA who did declare bankruptcy. And 2 times I agreed with the person this was the best way to go, but only on this basis. Both of those people had powerful recovery, a deep spiritual life, an absolute commitment not to incur any new debt. But their situations were so complicated, so complex, with so many creditors, and it was impossible to line them all up with negotiations, that what the agreement was that they would declare bankruptcy, but they would then go on to make 9-step amends, even though they were not legally obligated to do so. And they would repay each one of those debts as they were humanely able during the course of their recovery. Both those people did it, but that takes a powerful spiritual commitment and an absolute commitment to the program and recovery. Otherwise, look, it's impossible. Harm that I did, creditors that I don't pay back, that's the money I took that I told them I was going to pay back. I harmed those people. I don't want to spend too much time on this. There are lots of things to say about it. But so it is, it isn't, what is it? It comes down to, in certain situations, in Debtors Anonymous, when the intent and the commitment is to repay all creditors in full, even if it takes another 4 or 5 years, 10 years, and even though there's no legal obligation, if the situation is so messy, complicated, and intractable, then I would say, yes, that is a reasonable thing to do. In both these cases, both those people told that to all their creditors. They said, I am committed to repaying you, but this is what I have to do because I can't line everybody up for a repayment program at the time. So that's what I know about it.
Thank you.
I know we're right on the money here. Thank you so much, gentlemen. It's I know you're very tired. My name's Kim, and my first UA meeting was Friday night. Hi. Everybody at that meeting a lot of people told me about the phone meetings, which I thought I can't get up at 5:30 in the morning, but miraculously I did on Monday morning, and I was like, why am I up? I was like, oh, there's that phone meeting. Okay, I guess I'll try it, and I got hooked. So I've done it 5 days in a row. I did it, Monday through today, and it's been pretty amazing. The 2 questions that I have, I feel kind of nervous because I still have a lot of fear just with my circumstances right now. I feel exactly the same way the way you described. I can't even admit that I'm an under-earner because it sounds so repulsive to me. I just can't. And so hopefully I can get out of denial because I do fit all of the symptoms. So anyway, the first question that I have is, do you think that being a stay-at-home mom is a legitimate form of work, even though, in my case, I wasn't earning any money? I'm going through a divorce right now, and it's very, very difficult because now I have the responsibility of 2 children, and I'm basically in a situation where it's just there's nothing left, and their father is not providing any support. So I've had a tremendous amount of fear about that. So I really would like to know, in terms of just my value as a woman, as a mother, after spending 15 years, with no work history. So that's my first question. My second question is, and this is a miracle, I was kind of a skeptic, even though I've always believed in God. I do actually believe that God does miracles, because after 2 years of trying to find work, even doing things for $8 an hour and still not even able to pay my bills, he just landed me this job, and I've been training all week. And my question is, I really wanted to come to this seminar tonight and tomorrow, but they just scheduled me for this appointment in Beverly Hills tomorrow at 2 o'clock. And so I really should be reviewing the material, because I have to go in and do this huge sales presentation. My question is, am I sabotaging that by coming to this in the morning? Should I skip this and just stay home and study and review the material? And
Well, see, Andrew's speaking in the morning. I'm not speaking till later.
Oh, I was going to try and cram it all in, but my denial, my tendency in the past, I do well kind of improvisation, but that can get me into trouble too. So I could go home tonight and stay up and read a lot of the material and kind of rehearse, and so there you go.
You're saying, is this the first time you're doing this sales presentation tomorrow?
Yeah, what they do is they train you all week, and they basically throw you out to the lions. They give you an actual real live.
Is tomorrow your first lion?
Uh-huh.
It is? Well, I would just do it, I mean.
Oh, I'm going to do it. Yeah. I just didn't know if coming here in the morning, should I just skip the seminar?
Do you need to bone up on the specifics of what's going to happen in your presentation, like percentages and the value and all that stuff?
Yeah, like I should have been doing it the last 2 days.
Right. Yeah, I would suggest that my opinion is, I would say, even though I'm going to be speaking tomorrow, I would suggest that you study and
okay. And we're taking it. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Definitely bone up on that and come on Sunday, right? Or if you could come at the end of the day.
I was going to do that kind of around.
We're doing a talent show tomorrow night, so you could.
But I feel guilty, because I've been doing, here I spent, 5:30 to 6:30 in the morning on all these, these phone meetings, and I haven't put anything into.
Well, you've committed to this job, and you're doing it tomorrow, and it's like, the launch is tomorrow, so you really want to be as thorough as you can with whatever it is that you're presenting. And having spent 1 million years in sales, that's what I would do.
Okay.
I would absolutely agree with Andrew on that. That's your primary purpose right now. You need to start earning. And a very quick address to a stay-at-home mom. Absolutely, that's a job. And when I work with or deal with couples, I ask that if there is a woman who's staying home, or if there's a stay-at-home husband, anyway, that all the services performed by that stay-at-home person, child care, cooking, shopping, laundry, transportation, everything else, that you calculate a financial value for that. What would it cost to hire people to do those things? And so if I'm a stay-at-home husband and I'm doing all those things, and my wife's an attorney and she's making $250,000 or something like this, we have to, in figuring my contribution, say that, well, what would it cost for a babysitter? Right. What would it cost for someone to transport the child here? What would it cost for cooking, cleaning, and everything else that I'm doing? And that's my financial contribution to the household. So people who stay at home are absolutely contributing. As a single parent with a non-compliant husband, you are going to have to earn along with this. Your first job is not to debt one day at a time. That will begin the recovery here. Your phone meetings are terrific, and now to step forward, you take an action to show up for this new work that you're doing, and that's the best thing. That's real recovery. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And so you don't think that, because I guess I felt very, very guilty that somehow, because I wasn't preparing myself, in terms of work, because I was staying home and doing all of that I ended up in this situation where now I can't, earn or provide for myself with
Does that make sense?
You have to play a little catch-up. You weren't doing the wrong thing.
Okay.
If that was the agreement in the marriage,
great.
that you were
Thank
to
you.
take care of those children, and taking care of children is a major contribution
Thank
to a
you.
family. It's a huge contribution.
Right.
And if
Thank
that was
you.
the agreement, you were doing spectacularly.
Well, thank you. That helps me with my dignity.
Okay, guys, that's it. It's 10 o'clock, and the church needs us out of here. Wanted to say something first. Jonathan and Melody had planned to do a workshop on two under-earners in marriage and recovery and the hope for that. And we just let this go on because it seemed like it was really, really good. And so we're going to reschedule that over the weekend, and I hope you guys can attend, and I hope you guys can come again tomorrow. And let's give both of these guys a hand.
Thank you. Thanks.
Let's all get a circle and close with the serenity prayer. Jerry, would you like to lead us out?
God, grant me the strength and serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Keep coming back, it works if you work it, and you work it.
So we'll be back tomorrow at 8 o'clock right here, okay, for some prayer and meditation.
Take care and have a good day if you want to. Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs, long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst, then one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, oop, out, in, up, down. And then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right, but I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.